Sounds straight.
Welcome to South End Supporters, the St. Louis City SC podcast powered by Ready Live Wellness and coming at you from the Warrior Logo Wear Studios. Eric Cole alongside the Monday morning center back Dave Wyckoff. And Dave, we did it on the road. 3 points coming back home. We've said that, twice this year? Yeah, we did it. Well, I'm just going to keep with that. But how are we doing tonight?
People said it couldn't be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's wild to go into a game with really no expectations or anything at all, and come out and see an entertaining game and a pretty complete effort for the most part. So, yeah, for once, pretty much no complaints. So, 3 points. Yeah, it was fun stuff. 3 points and an early start. That was nice.
Yeah, let's get into that. That was fantastic. It still threw me off the whole night, thinking that once that game was done, it was going to be much later than what it was. But yeah, I mean, how'd you feel on the performance? Were you happy with what you saw? You kind of text at halftime, and you said, "No way, this game stays 1-0." And I responded back, "It either stays 1-0 because both teams are bad, or there's 3 goals in the second half because both teams are bad." But you seem to be pretty more on the positive side of what you were seeing.
I think that was more. It was just so wide open in the first half. It was a lot. The midfields were non-existent basically, and I thought that City had the better of the chances, especially in the first half. But shout out to JB for labeling us as the anti-XG podcast, but this is one of those games where I looked at the final numbers at the end of the game, and they just did not connect with what I saw with my eyes, and maybe that means I don't know what I'm talking about, but I did not see a game where City got outchanced. I mean, not to get too far ahead of things, but Montreal obviously had the possession, especially towards the end of the second half, because City was up 2-0 and not really bunkered in, but not really interested in doing much countering. And I sometimes I don't understand where or what constitutes a quality XG chance or a big chance. I mean, the entire game, FootMob has City only listed with 4 big chances. I think they had 4 or 5 big chances in what I would consider big chances in the first half. So right. No, I thought that they were in pretty much full control, especially throughout the first half. I could be wrong. What did you think?
No, I kind of agree with you. It was definitely a wide open game, just a lot of turnovers between both teams. But what I almost felt like on the night was almost like a typical City performance, but reversed, where it was just a team that was almost like they were fine letting the other team hold possession. Montreal held possession and then just almost waited for them to make their own mistakes and then kind of tried to capitalize off that. There were a few moments where I do see where Montreal had chances, but I agree with you. I thought City had more of the what you would quote the big chances or just chances on goal. I know there was like that Kessler back pass with the miscommunication where there was a break there, Berkey with the big save, and then obviously the crossbar. But I don't feel – I definitely felt weirdly – it was tough because – while visually watching it, I felt like City were pretty much in control of the game as far as the more dangerous team. But in my head, I was thinking kind of like we have all year where it's just kind of like, all right, where's this going to go completely wrong for City here? It just felt like – but I'm trying to think of I agree with you. I thought it's tough to say what are these, chances that you're – because to me – I think that the Vollum left-footed shot from just outside the box should be considered a big chance. I mean, and I don't think they would have counted that one as a big chance. Even the announcer, I think, after that shot said something to the effect of Vollum could have 3 at this moment. Well, if you're feeling that way, there's no way that we only end up with 4. Now, at the end of the day, I'm happy looking at these stats because I think I saw the same where it's we had 4 big chances, but we scored off of 2 of them. So, I almost consider that one free kick. I know it was a tough angle, but Klaus' first time shot, I think it was a good save, but I think it was tough. To me, that's a big chance. I was happy he hit it first time. I think there were a few instances. It's tough. Is it the actual shot makes it on frame? That's what it dignifies a big chance, or are they looking at the situation at a whole, and that's where they judge it as a big chance? Because I think those can be two different big things.
I don't know what the connection is between big chances and XG. I know XG doesn't get counted unless it's on target. So if it gets blocked or it hits the post, it doesn't count towards XG. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty positive about that. Yeah, I mean, but like I said, let's leave the numbers and the metrics aside. Like, this was a good performance. It was a quality squad that got put out there, and I think pretty much everybody showed up. I do have some issues with midfield still, but those clearly aren't going to be resolved this season. So until then, let's go forward with the ball, I guess. If you're not going to be worth a crap in defense, you may as well go in attack and create a lot of chances. I still am a little confused as to why Durkin is playing over Ostrak in a team that is playing like that, but it is what it is. Berkey had a really under celebrated clean sheet. He made some huge saves, some timely saves more than anything. Like, we joke about the 2-0 lead all the time, but this team has leads like that, and they give up goals and then they collapse. And he didn't let that happen. I think he got a touch off the one that went off the crossbar. He made a real nice save, getting down low. I think it was a head ball on a corner early on. So shout out to him for a very timely game. But I mean, aside the fact that he didn't, I guess, really get on the score sheet other than assist, this was a João Klaus masterclass to me. And I think they said it on the broadcast a couple times. Like, he was the best player on the field.
Yeah, voted by the fans too, which I was great to see as man of the match. Like, it was appreciated there. Those are some great points I think you made there.
Conrad had a great game.
Berkey with the timely saves, like you said. Like, even that one with the back pass, that could have easily been them tying it up, and then momentum just completely shifting the rest of the game. Like you said, City just kind of falls apart from there on out, or just preserving a 2-0 lead. Like, it was an under maybe acknowledged, and I think it was more just the happiness of the stuff on the road. I'm in agreement with you. Since coming back from injury, I just have not really been as impressed with Durkin. I know he runs a ton for you and he will work, but it's struggling to find what he's currently bringing to that midfield that makes him better, other than just a work rate.
Other than energy, yeah,
because he gives up a lot of silly fouls, and he
gives the ball away really easily, really frivolously.
Right. Touch hasn't been great, and then, he's not going to be your most creative player going forward, and if that's what you're looking for Leuven to sit back, you want that player who's partnered with him in front of him to be a little bit more creative, and to your point, I think Ostrak brings that a little bit more. But I will say, what we haven't been as complimentary of in the past, but I think was on with this game, was I think Critch got the substitutions right on this one. Bringing in Morales and just kind of settling down that midfield, if anything, not looking to, go overly crazy. I thought the Mackay Joyner, Sangbin just kind of was, not to any fault of his own, but just not as being utilized as much throughout the game. So I thought him coming in complimenting Celio I thought was being used majority of the game. And then Mackay just come in, not only defensively I thought he had great, but there were so many times where he found that run and found himself on a good break and just cross or whatever didn't end up there was actually one play where he plays it into Klaus, and Klaus beautifully first time lays that ball into Celio's paths and just doesn't get it on time.
The defender made an incredible play coming back on that one to just throw Celio off and I don't know if he got a foot on the pass, but he threw the timing of everything, because that's a tap in. I remember the play. I absolutely remember the play you're talking about. Mackay started that play 100%.
Yeah, and so I thought Critch kind of got those substitutions correct on
that. McSorley looked good too, man. He's got energy. He's got energy, and he's aggressive and physical. And no, I'm with you. I thought the timing was right. You get Durkin off of there so he doesn't pick up a second yellow and cripple you down a man. I thought they got it right. I thought he got it right from the beginning. I thought it was the right lineup, maybe short of Ostrak, but I agree. It's nice to be better than another team.
Yeah, right.
I think you could go into that game, and there was There was one, and it doesn't. Nothing makes me nervous at this point in the season because really all you're playing for is not to get the wooden spoon, right? But what makes you nervous in a vacuum about a game like that is like, okay, it's not a divisional team. It's a long trip. It's two bad organizations. How do you get up for this game? City have a tendency to play to the level of their competition. They didn't do that this time. Although they were much better than Montreal in all facets of the game.
No, great points. Yeah, and especially not panicking post goals. Like they just kind of held. Like I don't feel like there were too many first five after the goal. Here we go again, kind of stuff. Do you think this is we've maybe have found like what we're gonna probably at least finish off the year with as far as that center backing pairing with Kessler and then Fall? It seems
I think
like
so.
Kessler brings a little bit more just pure leadership to Fall, and I saw a lot of times where the camera would cut to them and those two were in discussions, and what I loved is every time they left it, Fall just seemed to have like he would just nod like I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what he kind of needs is in those moments. He's still a young kid and he's still learning. He's got a lot of potential, but he does need a little bit of guidance almost with your partner rather than coming from other people, because that's who he's going to rely on the most. And a clean sheet, and I thought he really performed well physically, especially against their strikers. So I think that was tall, big defender or striker in Prince, and I thought he held his own. And so do you like that center backing partnership over everything else that we currently have?
I do, and I think with the roster structure for next year, I believe isn't Timo's on loan, correct?
I believe we signed him, but I don't think he goes much past this year. I think
and Kess
short.
And Kess is here through 27.
Yeah, I think he was like a 5-year when we brought him in
so
like
I think it's really important, and it really what I would like is for them to be playing underneath who the manager is going to be next season. But at the very least, you're getting the two of them, Fall and Kessler, healthy minutes together in meaningful games, right? And that's what's most important. And really important for Kessler because he hasn't played a ton in the last year or so. And you can kind of see like that back pass giveaway, that was a strange mistake for him to make. Just no look, just winging it and not. That's very and he's made a couple of those mistakes since he's come back from the injury, to where I could just kind of chalk him up to rust for the most part, hopefully anyway. But yeah, that's who I want to see. I want to see the two of them. I want to continue to see Padelford. I don't know what the buy clause situation is, but it seems like we've got the left back situation sorted out. Now right back is kind of a mess because you're playing a midfielder there, but he seems to like right back, and Conrad's out of contract after this year, I think.
Yeah, he's on loan, so
he's on loan. So
negotiation.
Yeah, so we'll see. But no, as far as the two center backs go, that's what I want to see. I had Chris Gebhardt reach out today. He was in Montreal, and which was really cool. Yeah, shout out to the two of them because that looked really like a cool trip, and he finally got to see an away win, which that was pretty funny. But he reached out with some, I guess they mingled with some Montreal fans while they were there, and he said that their fans asked a lot about how City fans were doing, and Chris told him, well, at least we have a team. And that attitude is kind of starting to fade somewhat, and everybody wants to see positive results now, and that kind of sentiment is really growing. And the Montreal fans said kind of the opposite's happening there. The ownership, who are the Saputos, they own the team, and they also own Bologna in Serie A, who played Milan yesterday, lost to Milan 1-0, consequently. And they spend most of their money and their effort on Bologna. Mm-hmm. So Montreal's been bad for a while, and their fans are kind of like, well, at least we still have a team. So, interesting dichotomy there between, relatively similar franchises in where the development is. I had no idea that there was another that their team ownership also owned a Serie A team. It seems like a major conflict of interest to divide your resources like that. I know that it's a major thing. Like I know that like Chelsea have like I can't remember what it's called now, but they have like a whole like Team Blue or whatever the hell it's called now, where there's multiple teams, which again seems like a major conflict of interest, but it's kind of the Wild West right now.
Well, I think Manchester City's ownership is still over NYFC, like their stuff. I mean, clearly they at least were initially. That was a big reason they brought in Frank Lampard and Pirlo in the past. But I remember that was kind of brought up. Maybe it was earlier this year about, I think we had that as like a South End submission where it was like another big team over in Europe somewhere. They were. I don't know how it got brought up, but somebody asked, do we like a solo ownership, or would we prefer like a bigger, feeder club almost? And it's like, yeah, but you could easily, if let's just say, one of the parent team is not doing well, as Bologna is kind of in Serie A right now. They're going to divert all their attention because that's where the money is Serie A, and then you lose a lot of that over here. Like, you'd rather just have a solo ownership that just, I mean, whether you like it or not, but their only focus should be, on this team. I mean, you look at Kroenke, and he's got Arsenal, and then he's got the Rapids. If both teams starts going wrong, where do you think he's going to devote his, attention to? Not that he has any attention anywhere other than that stupid mustache that I think all of us want to punch off his face in this city. But we won't go down that road. But yeah, I think that's interesting. I think it was a very good team, I think, for them to kind of have that discussion with, is kind of like almost just checking up on two friends that are kind of going through something, being like, how you doing? Well, I'm all right. I'm hanging in there. How about you? Yeah, I've seen better days. It's like,
two friends going through like divorces and child custody cases.
Yeah, at the same time.
Just trying to get through day by day.
Yeah, getting excited over the dumb stuff. Being like, we scored a goal the other day. Yeah, no kidding. You scored
we're probably not going to get the wooden spoon now. That's great.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, boy.
Well, I hope that the Gebhardts, it looked like they had a good time. I hope they did. I hope they enjoyed Canada. I'm glad they made it back. I hope they made it back. Maybe he may have been emailing me from Canada. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Either way, I'm just glad that dude finally got to see a road win, because I know he's been to many of road games this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think about that all the time, like how much I want to go on a road game to see City play somewhere, but just I know it's tough enough, the 30-minute drive home I have from City Park, just how I'm lynched over in the car, just sad songs playing through the phone, just like I don't want to. That's why I used to love I love every time he goes with me, but anytime South End stands like, you want to ride together, I'm just like, man, but just know that this ride home could go one of two directions. I'm going to talk your head off, or I'm just going to not want to say a word. Like,
so then, I mean, this is a question for a different show perhaps, but like, does that pretty much rule out you ever going to Manchester for a game? Because that's a really long trip back.
When we were supposed to go, we were going to be staying in London, so it would have been a 2-hour train ride there, or bus ride there and back. I would have walked. I would have just, felt the cold London rain just down on my head, and I'd be like, I deserve this. I'm just going to walk it back.
Is that the reaction for a normal loss, or is that a reaction to the Manchester derby yesterday?
Dave, I only know losses when it comes to Manchester United anymore. That's all I know. They've all blended themselves together to where I just all I know is pain. It was funny. The family that sits next to us, I forget whenever the last home game was. Like when it was the game where like we got that little bit of a comeback in the last couple, and like from the 80th minute on after Leuven's worldie. But I remember like, right before like final whistle, she just looked over and she goes, there was like a call, and she goes, wow, you look pissed. And I just like, without hesitation, I just looked to her and I go, all I know is pain. All my teams suck. And like, I just want this. Like, I feel like Kevin after Montreal, I felt like Kevin in The Office when he was just like, it just feels good to win one. Like all this like craziness going on. Or I even texted you that night. You were like, I was like, I got to ride this high now, because I know come tomorrow morning, the Manchester Derby, this is all going to fade away quick.
Joy is fleeting, for sure.
And boy, did it fleet leap fast. But as you said, that's a discussion for another show.
We'll
but,
talk about that on Friday.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, anything else? Let's keep it on the positive that you really took away from this game. One thing that I'll say is seeing these new like you said, McSorley, Joyner, the kid that got called up. I'm sorry on his name.
Antwi. Yeah.
Which I was glad to see him get minutes, and it was funny because like I've seen him play live once in City 2, and he just definitely, epitomized the CDM role. I don't think he moved within.
Well, he's definitely got energy.
Yards,
He brought energy into that game. That was good to see. And I may have lost Eric again, and I know he was really excited to talk about the positives. So yeah, I would continue to echo what I think Eric is going to echo, and is that the team continues to fight even with only a month left in the season and being basically mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. And I think that you're going to learn a lot about this team in the last month, and kind of like we've been saying for the last couple of months, who wants to be there. Eric, it appears you're back. I lost you for a minute, but you're back. So I was echoing.
I didn't want to I was like, I'm just going to keep it going because I don't know if this is going to make it or not, and I want to finish my points. But yeah, so.
Well, I just echoed what I believe would have been your positivity in that the guys are not quitting, clearly, because a meaningless game in Montreal would have been the perfect game to lay an egg, and it appears that they refuse to do that, which is good. But there's going to be some tough competition in these next 4 games with LAFC and Real Salt Lake is always a tough one. Austin is a playoff team right now, I think. So yeah, it's not going to be an easy home stretch, but I think if they could pick 2 of those games up, I think you'd be happy. It's not going to get you into a playoff position, but it's going to show you a lot about some of these younger guys. So going to be a fun last month. No pressure. That's the other part about this. There's no playoff pressure. So I mean, maybe you just go out there and you just lay it all out.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing for pride, and you're playing for, and if you can't get up, you were talking earlier about, it's tough to get up for those, types of games, those 2 teams. But, I'm happy to see that they're at least seeming to get up for pride. And you know what? I also enjoyed is just there's still passion after goal celebrations. I want to see that. I don't want to see just we scored, who cares? It's done in a while. I want you to still play with that passion. I want you to still go for it. I want you to be, feisty in these tackles, and I want you to, whether he's here anymore or not, I want you to play like Lutz was saying, realize that you're playing for a spot possibly going forward, or you're playing for an audition, elsewhere. Whatever it is that gets you motivated for these last couple games of the season, it should be mostly pride and not having that wooden spoon on your resume. And I think if they can just keep showing up and putting away chances that they do get, I think that's there's no reason we should be out of that sort of wooden spoon discussion. But so
let's put a bow on it and take the 3 points and run with it.
Yeah. So again, City come away with a 2-0 win in Montreal. They will next turn their attention towards San Jose. They will be playing that game this upcoming Saturday, and we will have that preview later on this week with our STL Kalachi Postal preview. But, Dave, the good thing about Ready to Live Wellness, one of our title sponsors, is whether you go there to relieve some stress or you just go there to celebrate your goals and your progress that you're making, they've got you covered. And that was what was helpful for me this week, is I could go there with a smile after a good City win, but still keep up with my results. And that's what they're there for. No matter what your goals, they'll make sure they are getting you tailored towards accomplishing your goals and making sure you're doing it in the safe ways possible. Whether it's CrossFit, personal training, Pilates, bodybuilding, they've got it all under one roof, and they're going to make sure you do it safely and make sure your body's feeling as safe as it or good as it can with masseuses, PTs, and body movement specialists all under one roof. They also have so many different cool things that they bring in, like Fire and Ice, or Coffee and Rux, or Fit Fest. They do host and do so many great things. I mean, if you're looking to improve your health, it's a no-brainer. It's all in one-stop shop. You got to check out Ready to Live Wellness. Check them out at 1530 South Kings Highway Boulevard, and as well on all their socials at R2L Wellness. Dave, I feel like we almost need to have a win shirt made personal win shirt that just shows the celebratory that we bust out 4 times a year or less if you're a Manchester United fan. But where can we go get some custom win gear?
It would be really easy. It wouldn't cost you much to get all the teams that City has beat this year put onto one shirt. That would not be hard. But as much as I would love to go and get something like that made at Warrior Logo Wear at 12 East Main Street, Muscoda, Illinois, I don't want to become the Cubs with that stupid white flag with the W every time they win. Like,
oh, yeah,
there's 162 games. You look like a jackass. It's like, stop flying a stupid white W flag. That's stupid. Fly more. Try this. Try flying more World Series banners. That'll work. Maybe. Possibly. No. They have to win those. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I got confused.
One kid in the stand with that.
Yes, but if you would like to celebrate the City victory with some swag, head to Warrior Logo Wear, the official swag sponsor of the South End Supporters, for all your team sports uniforms and promotional swag. They can also help you bring your brand to life online and help you launch your custom web store. They'll handle everything from setup to shipping. They'll even help you design a logo if you don't come with one. So check them out, 12 East Main Street, Muscoda, Illinois. That's warriorlogowear.com. Warrior Logo Wear, all lowercase. I think that is on Instagram. On Twitter, they're Warrior Logo Wear, capital W, capital L, capital W. Go in and see Chris and his dad. Great local family-owned business, 12th East Main Street, Muscoda, Illinois, the official swag sponsor of the South End Supporters.
I think that's so underappreciated as well. Like you were talking about, customizing, help set up a website and all that type of stuff. Them helping you with all that. The amount of times that we go back and forth on just being like, does this work? Is this creative? What do you think about this? And the other one is just I'm thinking I can't do any better. So yeah, let's run with it. So the fact that they're there to help with all that type of stuff is just such an underappreciated quality that they bring.
That's huge. The convenience of having in-house people to take care of the minutia and to take those headaches away is huge, especially if you're setting things up for teams or for businesses. You've got other things to worry about. You want to go tell them exactly what you need. They've been in the business for a long time. They know how to meet those needs quickly. They can work with any budget, any size order. So that's the place to go, man. Great local business. Very proud to be affiliated with Warrior Logo Wear.
No doubt. Another local business that we are very proud to be a part of, and that's Elite FT, and they will be bringing you the Elite FT news and notes from the back post. Dave, can you tell the people first about Elite FT?
I sure can. Elite FT is the premier youth sports training program in the Metro East, and they've been doing it since 2002. Their mission is to provide a safe, educational, challenging, and fun environment where coaches can instruct and challenge athletes, helping them become confident, disciplined, and elite. EFT is committed to your athlete's success from the time they lace up their first pair of boots. Get them started in Bosco's Buddies. Love that program. That's the littlest ones, 2 to 3-year-olds. We talk about it all the time. Teach them really the basics. Future superstars, learning how to kick, learning how to run, learning how to pass, and just having fun and socializing, more important than anything. If your kids already know how to play, they can you can get them into rec camps, you can get them into private or team training, speed and agility training. Justin and his team can meet just about any sports training need that you have. So check them out, eliteft.com, Elite FT Soccer on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. 101 The Game Drive inside the Sports Academy is where they're located. They bring you this week's Elite news and notes from the back post. Biggest piece of news I have is that City 2 is the first to clinch a playoff spot in MLS Next Pro. That's huge. I think it's 16 unbeaten now.
So, yeah, something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, just unbelievable. It out on
PKs again, yeah.
Yeah, just unbelievable. First team to clinch. It's just they're just so fun. They had, I think it was Pups at the Park on Friday. It looked like a blast.
Yeah.
This team almost has more of the heart of the city than the main team at this point.
Yeah. You're not wrong on that.
It's results driven. It's a very fun atmosphere to be a part of right now. Hungry, young, successful team, and let's hope that they carry that into the MLS Next Pro playoffs and bring some silverware home this year. So,
no, for sure.
As far as City news, I saw that Conrad Wallum got on the bench for the team of the match week. really kind of irritated that Berkey didn't get in there for the first clean sheet in what seems like forever. But we'll take Conrad getting in there again. I thought Klaus belonged on there more than anybody. But we know those teams are driven more by, goals and assists. So congratulations to Conrad. I think that's his first time being on there, right? That was his first MLS goal, which is hard to believe. It just seems like he's always in the middle of action, but it's hard to believe that was his first goal.
Yeah, I think he's hit the woodwork a couple times. He's definitely put himself in some dangerous positions and good, high big chance or whatever the hell Thought Mob wants to call him. But it's definitely stats driven as far as that goes. And if you're a striker, you better put up a double or something like that to try and get in the squad because. And then with, Berkey, it's like the guy either needs to make, 15 saves to get in there. I thought you're right. I wish it would just be a little bit more judged as far as impact of the game or impact of the moment rather than impact with stats coming.
Yeah, it's hard. I guess it's tougher to make those subjective decisions across league wide. That makes sense to me. But, if they got the fans got it right in the game. The fans got the player of the game right, but it is what it is. Conrad. It wasn't that Conrad was not deserving of being on there. He had a very strong game.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
So that was exciting. So that's all I've got for news and notes on the back post. I know you probably got a couple of items.
Yeah, just a couple. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but City 2 signed Seth Antwi. He'll be to a full first-team contract through 2025 with the club options for 2026, kind of similar to what we saw with McSorley as well as Joyner. Like I was saying earlier, I don't know if it made it in or not, but I've only got to see him live once and a couple times, but it really fits when I watched him like a true CDM. I don't think he ran more than 30 yards within the spot. He just looked to collect the ball and distribute it and get it out as quick as he could, and he just kind of held down that little circle, and I like that out of a CDM. And I'm excited to see him continue to develop because I think there's a lot of upside to him. But just getting these guys minutes, it's one thing if we're going to finish off this year, use these guys to get experience, and they've come in and performed admirably. So it's not like you can't justify giving these kids minutes because they've been showing up. One thing I wanted to note is with City 2, that's what kind of makes this run that they're on just that much more impressive is they've been missing a lot of their key, people throughout the early parts of the year.
We may have lost Eric again.
So super
the Jay
impressive.
Cleveland may have gotten him again. I'm not sure what his piece of news was, but I did just remember that I wanted to bring up the fact that City loaned JGR back to I believe it was Australia, may have been Auckland City, and Auckland is in New Zealand, so I'm not really sure. I have to check on that, but kind of a bummer. He's a young guy. You thought he was going to get more of an opportunity, and he came last year late in the year and never really got that chance, and then he was injured in the preseason this year, and then by the time he got healthy, apparently developed an illness. We never really got clarity whether or not that was, an infection, but started the season, way behind. And, I think that Jake's game is really strong. I like the physical nature. I like the versatility that he can play a 6, he can play a center back, but I don't know. I think it's important that he continues to get minutes wherever it is. And, you've seen a lot of this, guys coming over, and I don't know if it's directly related to St. Louis or if it's just making a big, life change. But, you look at Blom, you look at Jake. I believe that there was another European player that it was Giannis Horn, I think. We kind of talked about how they were just very, very homesick and never really adjusted to the Midwest or being in America or MLS or whatever it is. So I hope that moving forward that it's a bigger priority for this team to continue to try. And, there used to be, and I don't know if corporate America does this anymore, but there used to be a major, it was a major resource to have people who helped employees transition to new companies when they moved just in the United States. I know my mother-in-law, Mary, used to do that for Ralston. So I don't know that that's as big of a thing now. I would imagine that professional sports teams, particularly that bring in a lot of like European players or South American, African, just foreign in general, devote a good amount of resources, because it's got to be hard, man. It's got to be so hard to, especially if you're young and have a family and you kind of have to uproot. I think about Marcel Hartle, who was really cool. He did the baby celebration after his goal and then announced the next day they're going to have another child. Very cool. Congratulations to them. But I use him as an example because you think about, they uprooted, brought a young child with them to St. Louis and are now having another child. And it's their whole life is just kind of up in the air. Marcel doesn't know if he's going to be in the MLS or in the United States or Europe or where he's going to be next year. I mean, now he has an idea probably where he wants to be. But I got to think that I would hope that City would make a much more concerted effort to make the transition as easy as possible, because you want these guys to fall in love with the group, with the area, with the fan base. And I know we talk about kind of feeling maybe a little patronized sometimes, with the corners and the clapping and everything. But I think that a lot of these guys want to be a part of this. They want to start their career. They want to plant the seed of their career in this team and in this city. And, this year hasn't been the smoothest, and last year wasn't the smoothest. And a lot of these guys have been here throughout the whole thing. So I think it's important that we give them as much grace as we can, because it's hard, man. It's not easy. We've all been new in a new place, and we definitely, very few of us have been new in a new place with so many people asking so much of us, and so much of their fandom, riding on our performance. So good luck to Jake. We hope that he gets the time, and we hope we see him again, whether or not it's for City or anywhere else. We just hope JGR develops into what kind of player that we think he can be. Eric, you're back. You're not looking very happy about it. I carried on. I soldiered on in your absence.
You went right into the story that all I had left, so you nailed it like
That's
an
perfect.
absolute pro. Because the last thing I had was that Jake was put out on loan to Auckland.
Yeah,
Until
and
June of 2026, I think.
Yeah, and essentially what I said was that we talk about all the time, and it's been a repeated sort of theme, that some of these guys they have a tough time transitioning their lives to being in America. Jake went back to Australia in the offseason, got hurt, had surgery, got sick, and then never quite picked back up where he left off. So
yeah, and a young
it's going to be
kid.
tough.
I mean, that's tough to travel, so far and be a young kid, and no real other Aussies on the team to kind of help, integrate and that type of stuff. Like, it's a big shock as far as
it's got to be a big life change, and then so many people, putting expectations on you of performance, right? Like that's the other thing. Like the STL fan base world is a very small, like sort of sheltered world, and I think we've alluded to this before. Like when this team has gotten new signings so far in the 3 years of existence, they get hyped to the friggin' moon. Mm-hmm. And when they have it delivered, it's like a section of the fan base just like turns on these guys like immediately, and turns on the process, when we really have to recognize that we're all kind of working blind here with prospects. Like we talked about, like Falou Fall, like the only highlights any of us had to look for were like random YouTube headball goals that he scored in the Norwegian league, and that was about it. We were lucky when Hartle and Teutsch got signed that there was some Bundesliga 2, film on them so you could see what they could do. But other than that, I think our expectations are, we signed these guys, they should be great. Not, we signed a 20-year-old center back that's never played outside of Australia. Maybe we should give him a little bit of grace.
And what you always see with those short highlight films is just that, highlights. You're not seeing, the full story of what they get. And then when you watch just the highlight video, you get super hyped on that person, and you think that every play that they make is going to be just like that. And he's so young still, so a lot of upside. So I think it's a good move, because he's not going to get time here outside of.
I will say he was as advertised in terms of physicality and attitude, and that's why I want to see him back with this team some days, because they need that little bit of nasty in the midfield. They need that physicality. They need that somebody who grabs another player by the scruff of the neck and kind of let him know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I hope he makes it back.
I tell you what, when he does come back, we'll just say when he does come back, he better come back with that mullet that he was pictured with
Yep.
before he came here, because that's what I want to see come back
Yep.
flying high. And
That's physicality is what that
getting
is.
in there. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, anything else you want to add?
No, my friend, those are the news and notes for the back post, brought to you by Elite FT.
Brought to you by Elite FT. Again, as Dave highlighted, get your kids involved in the game and make sure they're having fun doing it, and there's no better place to do it than Elite FT. We want to thank all our sponsors of this show, starting out with our title sponsors, Ready to Live Wellness. Check them out at 1530 South Kings Highway Boulevard or online at R2L Wellness, as well as our other title sponsor, Warrior Logo Wear. Go get that swag over at 12 East Main Street in Mascoutah, Illinois. Coming up later this week,
He was
we'll
going to
have our
say
STL
Warrior
Clutching
Logo Wear
preview.
at
That'll,
12
of course,
East
be
Main
brought
Street
to you by
in
STL
Mascoutah,
Clutching.
Illinois. If he doesn't come back, I'll also mention Ready to Live Wellness. They are our title sponsor, as well as Felix's Pizza Pub, who will bring you the South End submissions later on this week for the Thursday episode. Eric is going to be so upset at his internet, and I just have to kind of keep talking through this because a little inside baseball here. So Eric hosts the show on a program called Riverside, and Riverside is like an online recording broadcasting platform. So Eric has the controls to everything. Eric hits record, Eric hits end, Eric uploads all the episodes afterwards. So when he drops off, I'm essentially in a Zoom call by myself with no option to do anything other than leave the call, which would obviously put us in a bad spot in terms of being able to upload an audio file. So that's not what we're going to be able to do right now. Eric is trying to get back in the queue. I'm talking through Eric. I'm giving the people
Follow
inside
us on all our socials, just so I can get out of here before the damn Clemlins get me again. Jesus Christ!
I was going through and telling the people a little inside baseball, well, if Eric drops off here, I have nothing to do except to keep talking until Eric gets back on because I can't end the podcast. So I guess I just would have kept talking forever and ever.
Oh, that would have been great.
I would have tried to flow right into the Thursday episode and South End submissions and preview, but I'm so glad that you're back. And yes, please tell the people where they can find this fine program on all the socials before you lose your mind.
I don't even know if I lost you again or not because you froze on my end, but I'm just going to get this out.
Oh, no. Well, our
Follow us on
Twitter and our
Instagram.
Reddit are both
On
at
Instagram,
capital
South End
SES
Supporters, on Twitter, our Reddit,
underscore
capital
podcast STL. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, as well as on the Discord, No Goal Patrol Discord. And I'm so serious, Eric has dropped off again, and he's going to be losing. He's good. He's going to need some muscle therapy is what he's going to need after this, because his neck muscles are going to have to be so tense from all the stress. And again, I'd love to wrap up this show, but I can't. I don't have the stop button here. I wish David was here. We could talk about kolaches. I'd like to talk about some kolaches anyway. Last week, man, I think we talked about it on last week's show, but I went to the Edwardsville location, which is not actually a sponsor of the show, but we'll let it slide for now. And after 1:30, they had half-price kolaches. And let me tell you, Jack, I got a chicken bacon ranch, I got a meatball, and I got a St. Louis pizza for lunch and a bag of chips and a soda, and it was only $10. You can't get that kind of food for that kind of price anymore. It was so hot. Eric, I'm talking kolaches, but do you want to end the podcast now?
For Eric Cole, for the Monday Morning Center Back, Dave Wyckoff, you've been listening to South End Supporters. Maybe we'll see you next week. I don't even know anymore. Till then, let's go City.